Alright guys, got another video for you. Got the race frame up on the table. I'm going to go over Gusset kits. Over the years of racing, I've broken a handful of frames. So if you're serious about racing one of these, probably a good idea before you break your frame to put a Gusset kit in it. I'm going to go over where I put them and maybe why. This is an 05 frame, 04 through 07. The frames are pretty close. The 03 frames are different. They had this top motor mount bolted on. They're known for cracking right underneath here. So a Gusset kit is pretty important there on those frames. I have broken frame here on the newer frames, so I went ahead and put some Gussets in there. I think the only company that makes a Gusset kit for these anymore is Rath Racing. But I don't know what his Gusset kit includes. And it's pretty simple to make. All you need is just some steel, and a grinder with a cutoff wheel and a welder. So let's get into it. So I hope this isn't going to be too hard for you guys to see, because I had the frame powder coated black. These seem to be the weak spots on the frame that I'm going to show you, and where you can put Gussets, and just easy way to make them. So up here by the steering stem, got a Gusset here. That makes this a little bit stronger. If you look, I don't know, they must have done this to make things lighter, but your first rollover, you're going to bend your stem, and you're going to bend this back, and it's going to make it really hard to steer. One thing I forgot, I was going to put a plate in here. As you can see, this frame is cracked just a little bit there. I hope that doesn't become an issue. I should have put a steel plate across this, but I don't plan on rolling it over, so hopefully that holds up. Down where the A-arms mount, I've never cracked anything down here, but this right here around the shock mount, that is pretty notorious for cracking, especially if you've got your suspension set too soft. So we went ahead and made a Gusset kit, or Gusset goes right in there. Never had an issue since. Working back, like you said, up here at the top motor mount, they're kind of known for cracking here. So I went ahead and made a Gusset kit that sits under there. Said, sorry, a little hard to see. If you message me, I could probably take a better picture of it if you want. Down here, the lower motor mount. This frame, it has a tendency to crack right around in here. So what I did was I cut this out of the frame, just so we can get a hose in there and clean that out, because once I cut this out, I realized how much dirt and mud and oil and everything else was in there. So I went ahead and made a Gusset kit there. You can kind of see it. I might have to do another video and paint the frame white so you guys can see a little bit better. The next one, right here by the skid plate mounts, put a couple Gussets in there just for a little extra security. I don't know if I can focus on my phone a little bit better, but that's what it looks like. I'll lift the bottom up, or lift it up a little bit so you can see from the bottom as well. Back by this cross, if you notice on a lot of other sport quads, they actually have a bar that runs across there. I was actually going to do that, but I decided not to. I didn't want to add any more weight than I had to. So that's notorious for cracking right around this weld here, and kind of collapses the frame a little bit. So I went ahead and put a Gusset here and filled in this area here. Hopefully that'll keep that from cracking. The swing arm pivot bolt area. These have a tendency to crack right across there. So I went ahead and doubled this plate up. I did this on my other frame and it held up great. Another spot that they're known for kind of collapsing in on themselves is right here. Right where these two tubes come together. This has a tendency to, if you bottom out a lot, which you probably will, this has a tendency to crack. I had to re-weld this a little bit, and I went ahead and put a piece in on this side here. I had to cut this for the CDI box mount a little bit to get that in there. Just make sure if you make one of these that you got your clearance for your CDI box to sit flat against the frame, because then otherwise it'd probably vibrate, shake, and possibly crack. And you don't want to do that, because then obviously with no CDI box, your engine's not going to run. The back shock mount, just put a couple right here. I noticed on some of my frames the shock mounts had cracked, and that would make for a very bad day. So went ahead and added some there. I think that was pretty much it. These frames, they're pretty strong compared to some of the other ones. But it's still mild steel. It's not chromoly. So over time it will eventually break on you, especially if you're doing hard, aggressive trail riding. So I'll show you for things from the bottom here. It's probably still hard to see, but Gusset there, Gusset there. And everything else is pretty good. I don't know if this will make it any more clear. Probably not. But underneath the top rail there. Other than that, that's all there is to it. Alright, so as far as making templates, all you need is just, I don't know, a poster board. I think this was, just, I used an old for sale sign. Just something that you can kind of cut and trim pretty easily. Then you can set it in there. Then once you have your pattern, you could transfer that to steel, cut it out with a cutoff wheel and a grinder, and sand it down, grind it down on the metal so you got a nice good welding surface. Weld it in. That's all there is to it. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Hope to have another video here soon. Until then, ride safe.